Hello everybody, Nitpicker01 here, complaining about issues great and small for your entertainment, and today we're going to be talking about Life is Strange True Colors. Earlier in September, I was very interested in this game, but unfortunately I had my money set on other games like Sonic Colors Ultimate and Kena Bridge of Spirits. Though during Black Friday, I snagged this game on PS5 with a big discount, and I actually really enjoyed it. I do want to make clear that this is my first Life is Strange game, so you won't be getting any comparisons between any of the other Life is Strange games. Though that might be changing in February with the Remaster Collection. At any rate, this is my first Life is Strange game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But see, here's the thing. While the game released in September, the Switch version unfortunately got a delay because it needed more time. So when the Switch version came out, I did want to talk about this game again, so I reached out to Square Enix to see if they would be interested in providing me a code, to which they accepted. I want to thank Square Enix so much for that, with a special mention to the campaign manager. You rock. Clearly, they are trying to butter me up, so I forgive them for Marvel's Avengers and Balan Wonderworld, but I digress. I do want to give a bit of a disclaimer. Just because Square Enix gave me a review code doesn't mean it changes my opinion, nor do they tell me to say anything. They did give me a review guide, but all that has are resources and, well, a guide on playing the game. None of it tells me to say anything. This is not a sponsored video, so everything is my own opinion. Anyway, let's discuss Life is Strange True Colors, and then we'll discuss the Switch version with its pros and cons later. And don't worry, there will be no spoilers in this nitpick. Believe me, I want you to be ready for those twists and turns. However, if you played the game and want to know my opinion on a certain part of the game, make sure to comment down below and I'll reply to you and we can keep the conversation going. Also, there will be mostly Switch footage in this video. However, I might splice in some PS5 footage, and if I do that, I'll put a disclaimer on the screen. Okay, with all that being said, let's nitpick Life is Strange True Colors on Nintendo Switch. Life is Strange True Colors follows Alex Chen, a character with a dark past as an orphan currently en route to a small town called Haven Springs, seeing her brother Gabe Chen, hoping to find a home within Haven Springs to get her life up and running. However, she has a power that feels more like a curse to her, the power to feel other people's strong emotions. Later, Gabe's son Ethan wants to go out into the mines without anyone knowing about it, which he accidentally tells Alex. Now, whether you choose to tell Gabe or not, Ethan winds up going and you have to go get him because there are scheduled charges to blow up the mine. Gabe calls the mining company to disable the charges, but they have gone off anyway, killing Gabe in the process, which spirals the rest of your adventure to figure out who and why didn't stop the charges. Was it Mac who got into a fight earlier that day with Gabe, who thought Gabe was sleeping with his girlfriend? Did Ryan have something to do with it? Or is it something far more sinister? So while the game is about the mystery who killed Gabe, the game is mainly about you and the town dealing with Gabe's death. And with Alex's new power, you can help everyone along the way. You can beat the main story very quickly, sure you can do that, but what matters is the optional stuff because it leads to different scenarios. And some choices may seem right, but turns out they may not be or require more steps. If any of you have played the game, Charlotte, that's all I'm gonna say. It really felt like I was doing the right thing, but turns out I didn't. Ugh. But when you do things correctly in helping others, it's a really great accomplishment, and I do want to try to get the best ending at some point. Hell, if this video does well, maybe I'll stream next year. We'll see. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I would love to stream this game. I just don't know if it's that relevant to be streaming it anymore, or maybe I'll stream it in February before the Remaster Collection comes out. We'll see. Anyway, where am I? So the story really did grip me, and I just fell in love with all of these characters, including Alex. Alex was just so likable, and I really liked her tragic past, which was shown later at the end of the game, which obviously I'm not spoiling. Along with the main gameplay of just being a person who can read emotions, you also have actually quite a bit of side content at your disposal. When you help out Steph right after Gabe's wake, you cheer her up by playing foosball with her. Yeah, an actual game of foosball. There's one part of the game that calls back to Square Enix's RPG roots, small separate side quests you can do to help people out, and a feature that's really cool as a time waster. There are 2 arcade cabinets you can play. One is a game made solely for True Colors called Minehaunt, which is kind of a mix between Dig Dug and Pac-Man, but the other is 100% an arcade ROM of Arkanoid. This was so cool, and it's really addicting. It just makes the game feel more real life feeling. Like it's not a game you're playing, you aren't just completing a story and a quest, you're living a life, and I think interesting side content just for fun is a great way to go about it. Alright, so that's it for the game in of itself. I would talk more about it, but I want to focus on this nitpick having no spoilers, and I wanted to exclusively focus on whether the Switch version is a viable option, and what did they do to get the game running on Nintendo Switch, and did it work? Alright, listen. So get this, the game looks worse than the current or next-gen versions, but it doesn't look that bad. In fact, I'd say this is one of the most impressive Switch ports. Not because of how good it looks, but everything they did to make the game look good. Because really, I keep calling this game a port, when to be completely honest, it's more along the lines of a demake in the best ways possible. According to my review guide, the Nintendo Switch version of Life is Strange True Colors contains all the same content as the other platforms, including all of the character performance capture and facial animations, plus the full extensive licensed music soundtrack. As part of the year-long development of this edition, the dedicated Switch team rebuilt the lighting engine, including adding a bespoke light baking pipeline and a new approach to reflection probes, shaders, and dynamic shadows for dynamic objects. Created a new Switch lighting model specifically for the rendering of lighting on faces, completely reworked how the CPU processes and renders scenes to optimize frame rate, optimized and reworked every character model and environmental object in the game, aiming to preserve fidelity while optimizing poly counts as an example of this efficiency on the Switch. Haven Springs Main Street saw total scene polygons reduced from 13M to 9M. The processing plant at the mine saw total scene polygons reduced from 21M to 10M, reworked all foliage across the game, reworked emotional auras for best performance and legibility, reworked anti-aliasing using a TAA solution optimized to be as speedy and performant as FXAA, reworked post-processing features with Switch-specific solutions, including for atmosphere, light shafts, bloom, depth of field, and the use of SSAO for shadowing, integrated with FSR technique for when the game is docked, increasing performance at 1080p, and finally, upscaled and adjust the AI and text sizes to optimize for handheld mode. That is a lot for just a port. They didn't just shove this game in on Switch, they did everything to make it work as good as possible. So in my opinion, I consider it more along the lines of a demake, and you can tell where the effort went in. I ain't no scientist or Digital Foundry, but by the looks of the game, I'm pretty convinced they are telling the truth. The game is running in 1080p, no buts about it, and in handheld mode it runs in a great resolution, which I think is probably 720. Although there is a lot of pixelation around objects, but you'll get used to it, I think. What I don't think you'll get used to are some actual issues, but with one downgrade that I couldn't get used to. So let's start with the two issues I came across. The first problem was when I booted the game up in handheld mode and the door was out of its frame. If Jeb wants me to pay rent for Gabe's room, he better fix this damn door. But a more important and permanent issue when playing in dock mode, I don't know how noticeable it is on the picture, but when playing this game, sometimes there will be distracting white pixels scattered across the bottom. It doesn't obstruct your vision or anything, but it's very distracting and got on my nerves really quick. And by the way, this was not a one-time issue. It happened just about every session, with the last session I played basically having there the entire time I was playing. It always ranged from gone to not gone at a moment's notice. But don't worry, I went ahead and brought up these issues to the campaign manager, who listened and said they brought it back to the team. So I'm very thankful they listened, and they said that a patch should be available soon. They aren't sure if that's what the patch will fix specifically, but if it does, I'll make sure to let you know. And if it comes out before this video's launch, you'll see me say it right now. Poof. But there is one specific downgrade with this version that's kind of off-putting, and you'll notice it. In fact, you might have already just by seeing the footage. Alright, take a look at the screenshot of the PS5 version, right? Okay. Here's the Switch version. Notice anything weird? Oh, okay. Well, you don't? Alright, well, how about this one? PS5, Switch. There's no background for the interior buildings. It looks like their houses are in an abyss. It's literally a building floating out in space. It's just so weird and off-putting. It's fine if you've never played the game on PS5, but doing a second playthrough just weirds me out. I just wish they'd slapped a skybox or something. I don't know. I feel like they could have figured out some way to make this less weird. Another thing that's pretty weird is that sometimes the new lighting doesn't react to hair very well. It's not all the time, but when it happens, characters can appear white and their faces be slightly dim. I guess it's just the way they decided to handle the lighting on this edition. Anyway, another con you're getting is that on the PS5 version, not sure about the last gen versions, you can switch between fidelity mode and performance mode, allowing for 60 FPS if you want it. And personally, since this is basically a movie, I went for high fidelity this time around. However, if you are a frame nut, there is no option on Switch. I'm pretty sure you weren't expecting there to be, but just throwing it out there. I know I sound like I'm being hard on this version, but that's just because I'm a nitpicker who played both versions. If you're picking this game up for the first time, you'll probably not notice anything, because when this version doesn't have the things that I mentioned, it's a straight up great version of this game, even as someone who played it on better hardware. If I didn't play it on better hardware, I'm sure most of these issues will just fly by your head. Well, okay, not now, because I just brought them up to you, but I promise you the game is fine. If all you have is a Switch, and you don't have a good PC or one of the other consoles, then yes, of course, this version is great for you. But if you have another system, then I recommend you get it on there. But do I still recommend this version? Yeah. It's a great way to see if your partner or kid is staying up late playing their Switch, because if you hear them cry in the middle of the night, you know why. On a serious note, if you think this would be great for you, then it probably is. Play on the bus on your way to work or school, or do you just want to have a movie-like experience on the go? Then yeah, this game is worth it. I think they did a lot good with this port than bad, so if you think this would be a game you just want to play portably or want the choice, it's more worth it than it is not. And hopefully the remaster collection of 1 and 2 are worth it too. I'll be sure to let you know if I can, though as long as it's on the same level of quality as this port, we're in good hands. I want to thank Square Enix once again for giving me a review code for this game. I had a blast taking a look at this version and comparing the two to see how the Switch version ticked. I hope to work with you in the future, Square Enix. It's a pleasure, and with special thanks one more time to the campaign manager. I really appreciate them listening to the 2 issues I reported and getting them to the team so they can work out those little issues to make sure everyone who sees this video has a great experience, even better than mine. Thank you everybody so much for watching. The final video of the year is coming out just around the corner, and in the meantime, if you're new here, just make sure to check out some of my previous content on the end card on screen now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.